Hey, what's up guys, it's Fisayo here and welcome to the unboxing and review of the Xiaomi Redmi Note 8. Now this is one of the two devices that Xiaomi recently launched. The second one is the Redmi Note 8 Pro, which my unboxing and review will be dropping for in a few hours. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel and you have notifications turned on. I'll leave a link in the description for when that video drops. That being said, this video is all about the Redmi Note 8 and my experience using it for the past few days, which I've had it now over a week. And as always, I'll share my pros and cons with using this device. I'll also leave timestamps in the description and pinned comment so that you can get to skip to parts where you want to get to quickly to get information about. All right, that's that. Without further ado, let's get to the video. Inside the box of the Redmi Note 8, there is a gift box, and inside that gift box, the first thing we see is the SIM ejector tool. We get quite a thick user guide, warranty card, and then we get a black case which looks quite sleek and nice. So that's that for the gift box, and underneath that is where we get the Redmi Note 8 itself with a loose wrap plastic. And taking that off, right in front on the sticker, you get to see all the features of the Redmi Note 8: 48 megapixel quad camera, 6.3 inch dot drop display, Gorilla Glass on the front and the back. Now hold on a second, Gorilla Glass on the front and the back. Keep in mind that this is just 65,000 naira, 64,970 naira. It comes with a 4,000 milliamp hour battery and it supports 18 watt fast charge. Well, the regular Note 8 comes with a 10 watt charger in the box, while the Note 8 Pro has an 18 watt charger in the box. But both the Note 8 and the Note 8 Pro support 18 watt fast charging. You get Snapdragon 655 octa-core processor, which is an upgrade to the 660, and according to reviews, this is much faster. Alright, put the phone aside, but for what's in the rest of the box, we get the charging brick, USB-C cables, and some gum. Basically nothing else in the box. You know, it's totally cool to think that there is no headphone in these boxes, but Xiaomi sells their own accessories, so I guess it's a good play for them. Taking the plastic off the front, the Note 8 shows you the 6.3 inch Gorilla Glass display, and it looked very good on its first day of school. On the back, we've also got the Gorilla Glass 5 as well, which is already showing signs of smudges, fingerprints, and even when I haven't used it for as long as I want to. It does look reflective, it feels thick, and it kind of reminds me of the Redmi Note 7, which I made a 2-month review about. That Redmi Note 7, the predecessor to this device, also has Gorilla Glass 5 on the front and the back. And as far as color options for the Note 8, you get Neptune Blue, Moonlight White, and Space Black, which is what we have here. The upper part of the back of the Note 8 houses 4 cameras from the top to the bottom. We've got an 8 megapixel ultra wide camera. We've got a 48 megapixel primary camera, which is actually a 4-in-1 12 megapixel superimposed stuff. Then 2 megapixel camera below them are both macro lenses for taking macro video and macro photo. Now the only thing when taking macro photo is that when you block the upper lenses, nothing happens, of course, as expected, and you're only going to be getting 2 megapixel macro shots from this device. Moving on, still on the upper part, you get the flash and the 48 megapixel camera inscription, and then we've got the fingerprint reader. On the lower part of the back, we've got the Redmi logo and some certifications. On the front of the Note 8, we've got the 13 megapixel selfie camera. Above it is the earpiece for phone calls, and there is a notification LED right there to the left of the top. I also noticed that there is quite some noticeable bleed on the edges. On the bottom of the front, we've got the Redmi branding. There's also some more noticeable screen bleeding on the bottom. On the right side of the Note 8, we've also got the volume rockers and the power button. The bottom side of the device is where we've got the headphone jack, the microphone port, the reversible charging capable USB-C port, and the speaker grill. On the left side is where we get the slot for the dual SIM and memory card, which makes the storage expandable by 256 gigabytes at no extra cost of an extra SIM. We've got another microphone up top, and this is for stereo audio recording. We've also got infrared sensor remote for controlling supported appliances like an air conditioner. In terms of setting up the device, it took over 3 minutes to fully set up without putting the fingerprint, and a major part of setting up was loading into MIUI 10.3 based on Android 9. My first impressions on the build quality was mainly on the fingerprint magnets that it is. The Redmi Note 8 has Gorilla Glass 5 as I mentioned on the front and the back, and this takes a lead from the predecessor of the Redmi Note 7. I even made a drop test of the Redmi Note 7 and a bend test for the Redmi Note 7, which I think you should check out. I'll leave a link to that in the description or the card up above. Saying that they are both similar in terms of what you get, I can go ahead and say that this would also be a sturdy build. It was for the time I've used it, and the device itself protrudes with the camera bump and the case that it comes with helps smoothing things out a little bit. The case also has a clip that opens to protect the charging port. The Redmi Note 8 also carries some weight at 188 grams according to my measurement. It was 190 grams on their website, and adding a case on this device takes it up a further 207 grams. This device has a 6.3-inch display, it's LCD, and the screen resolution is 2340 by 1080, essentially FHD, and a PPI of 409. I watched quite a couple of videos with this device. It was pretty decent and sharp, quite bright as well, and of course it views and streams YouTube videos in 1080p. My only gripe with this device is that in white screens it bleeds and it looks like a vignette around the display. It's not a major thing, but it's there. Overall, in terms of my day-to-day use, the device's colors felt familiar and I got used to it. The Redmi Note 8 also has dark mode right in the display settings. It affects the native apps, gallery settings, dialer, messages. Oh, it doesn't affect the messages. I don't know if it is intentional, but dark mode doesn't work in the messages app. Dark mode even works in the Play Store. And for those who are fans of gestures, you also get gesture controls, interchange the buttons and the home row and all that. You can hide the notch, but don't do that. You also get to create a second space on your phone. I mentioned this in the Redmi Note 7 review and Xiaomi still added it here. The second space is basically like having a work and a home phone, two different passwords for each. So for instance, my main space has a long L to unlock and my second space has a short L to unlock. Or you could use two different fingerprints to unlock your phone. To get into the second space, for instance, I could use my right fingerprint to unlock, and my main space I could use my left finger to unlock. You could also create dual versions of apps like Facebook, WhatsApp, and some more games. Now, speaking of day-to-day use, if you are consuming media on this device, you pretty much be fine as it's very familiar. There's nothing fancy like stereo speakers, but the speakers on here were pretty loud. The thing is, it's a downward firing speaker and they can easily be blocked when you hold it in a horizontal position like this. In terms of how it sounds though, here's a quick demo of both the speaker and the microphone. Alright guys, so this is the microphone quality test of the Xiaomi Redmi Note 8. So this is how it should sound in an optimal situation. Let me know what you guys think about the sound quality in the comment section down below. From what I could tell, it sounded quite nice and loud, while the microphone quality was decent as well, nothing major about it. But what are your thoughts? And also music from Musicbed for non-copyright sounds. Let me know what you guys think about the sound quality in the comment section down below. Now moving on, the specs of the Redmi Note 8 brings with it some interesting elements. I mentioned earlier that we get Snapdragon 655, which is an octa-core processor, and its companion in terms of the GPU is the Adreno 610 graphics processor with Qualcomm's 3rd gen AI engine. With the Redmi Note 8, you get a minimum of 3GB of RAM and a maximum of 4GB of RAM. Then you also get a minimum of 32GB of storage and a maximum of 128GB of storage. My model here has 4GB of RAM, 64GB of storage. It's expandable with the memory card to 250GB, like I mentioned, and this exact model costs 64,970 naira on Jumia. For more specs, I'll leave a link to Nigeria Android Arena in the description where you can check out detailed specs and more in terms of comparison. And oh, if you were wondering, the Glow Band 28700 wasn't listed in the spec list, but Glow now has a new 31800 band and it's listed here, so a new Glow SIM would just do fine. Overall, in terms of browsing experience and network speeds, it was similar to the Note 8 Pro, which I was also testing alongside this one. Using social media apps ran smoothly and I didn't notice any crashes at all, but of course, in the usual Xiaomi tradition, you get ads popping in frequent places. Gameplay did run smoothly on the Redmi Note 8, and in terms of gaming graphics, I'd say it was good. It was above average. My 1 hour gaming session barely had an effect on the battery. It was like 20%, and I did experience some slight heating, but it went away as soon as I stopped gaming. In terms of charging speed, the default charger in the box, the 10-watt charger, brought this guy from 0 to 30% in 30 minutes. It took another 30 minutes to get to 58%, so that's in 1 hour 0 to 58%. It took 2 hours to get full. And about gaming again, the Note 8 Pro, the higher version, has a heatsink pipe to cool things down and a dedicated gaming processor, which was even the first device to utilize that Snap processor. So I'll look at that later, so make sure you check the link in the description. But the Note 8 seems fine if you want to game. However, I would recommend the Note 8 Pro if you want to go for gaming. In terms of touch sensitivity, the Note 8 was pretty fast with responses, multitasking was smooth, and apps did load quite accurately, making the experience, smooth overall during my use. I also tried to utilize the screen record feature. This feature doesn't exist in the control panel up top, but thankfully they provide a default app that lets you do that. And it's not just there, like there's a folder where your clips are even recorded in that app. So yeah, there's that. Screenshots are in the control center up top at the notification section. It also does scroll shots as well. The fingerprint scanner is not the fastest in the world, but it does work, and face unlock was a little quicker, but Xiaomi does warn that it is not as secure. It's not an infrared scanner or something, so there's that. The Bluetooth sensor is 4.2 compared to Bluetooth 5.0 on the Redmi Note 8 Pro. There's also literally a feature where if there's ever dust in your phone or inside your speaker, you can trigger the clean speaker, and it makes this sound while vibrating the internal parts to clear what's inside. Call quality was okay, as a normal phone. The features of normal phones were perfect and fine. I feel like we don't need to review that anyway. All right, it's camera time, and for 65,000 naira, 5 cameras is pretty interesting to start with. I already mentioned the camera specs earlier, but to reiterate, on the front it's 13 megapixels f2.0 lens, and on the back we get a 48 megapixel camera 1.7 wide lens, 8 megapixel ultra wide, dual 2 megapixel macro lenses, and resolution in terms of the pictures, the highest resolution for the 48 megapixel camera is 8000 by 6000. It records 4K at 30 fps. In the camera app, from left to right we get slow motion mode, which can shoot 120 fps and a maximum of 240 fps. You can shoot short videos which only shoots 15 seconds at all zoom levels. You get video mode, photo mode, ultra wide, normal, and 2x. And the next is 48 megapixel camera sensor, which is dubbed Ultra HD here. Basically, the main difference is that if you compare the image sizes of the normal shots to the 48 megapixel shot, it's 3000 by 4000, and the 48 megapixel shots are 6000 by 8000. Next is portrait, panorama, and pro mode. As far as photos, I say that the portrait mode on this device is actually fast, and it does produce some good results. It's not perfect, it also can be soft, but it compensates for it somehow by some software sharpness. Normal shots were decent, but when compared to 48 megapixel shots, they weren't anywhere as sharp. Selfie portraits were soft as well, and this is all by default because Xiaomi cranks up the beauty filter of this device right out of the box. HDR shots also did look nice, and in terms of the hierarchy of the normal, wide, and zoom, I think it's pretty good, but wide shots aren't usually as sharp as the 1x and 2x. I said that 48 megapixel camera shots preserve a lot of information and detail, just like what we had on the Note 7. In good lighting, or say you are outdoors and there's a lot of light, night mode would seriously show a lot of detail and crank up the sharpness. Even on a small desk, there's a noticeable difference. Also, I tried to test the shots of the plant. Of course, the flash brought out the true image, but night mode still tries to bring out some elements despite how dark the room was. Video recording quality on the Redmi Note 8 is quite a mixed bag for me. It records 4K 30 fps. It does 1080p slow motion at 120 to 140 fps. It also does 1080p video at 60 fps, which all sounds great on paper, but when I tested it, I noticed a lot of skipped frames. It wasn't just once. The Note 8 Pro tries to soften this effect. You see that video, but there's no stabilization here. Alright guys, so this is the front-facing camera visual quality of the Xiaomi Redmi Note 8. It shoots in 1080p at 30 fps, and as you can see, the exposure is quite very, very obvious at the back, and when I tap on it, it darkens the image a whole lot until I press on my face. It keeps me in focus and blows everything out in the background. Yeah, let me know what you guys think of the front-facing camera. It's a 13 megapixel sensor, but let me know what you think of this quality as well as the sound quality in the comment section down below. That's it for this video, guys. What do you think of the Redmi Note 8? For me, it's a good follow-up to the Note 7 at this price point. They share that Gorilla Glass 5 sturdiness, and this is an upgraded version in a few areas, but is it worth it to you based on all what you've seen? Let me know in the comment section down below. And also, if there's anything I didn't mention that you could have wanted me to touch on, let me know in the comment section down below. Let's have a chat there. Do drop a like if you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications for all the new videos that are coming, and the Redmi Note 8 Pro, of course. Also guys, make sure you follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I'll display my handles right here. I'll be posting some more updates. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.